So welcome everyone to the Deals Final Corner. So this is your weekly property talk show brought to you by Property Filter, hosted by myself, Guillaume Black. So I'm your favorite Frenchman, and the CEO and co-founder at Property Filter. As you know, it's the highest rated platform to find deals, and we're on a mission to empower property investor and deal sourcing members to find another 1,000 deals this year like they did last year, thanks to the Property Filter blueprint. And really the purpose with this Deal Final Corner is to give you more and the best of the available resources by inviting expert guests who will share with you the latest and most current strategies, tactics, and secrets about what actually works right now in terms of finding and doing deals and the reality of systemizing and running a high-performance business in property. So it really is my pleasure to introduce today on today's Deal Final Corner, Mr. Terry Blackburn. Terry has been a self-employed entrepreneur running sales teams and businesses since the age of 19. So this is some 16 years ago now. He's built and sold multiple businesses in financial services industry. Some of them were producing well in the seven figures from sales. He owns hotels, a bar and restaurant. He's got a portfolio of property in the Northeast worth north of 10 millions. And this portfolio is made of buy-to-lets, HMOs, essays, and I touched on the hotel as well. So the hotel as well. So he wrote 2 books, runs a podcast, is a very dedicated family man with 4 children, and he's doing all of this whilst keeping fit. And I think he took a chapter from Mark's book and on completing a recent body transformation. So Terry really embodies and showcases how you can achieve more in all aspects of your life, and especially when it comes to closing more deals in property. So I'm really happy and excited to hand over to Terry in a minute and to welcome him to the Deal Final Corner. So what can we expect from today? So Terry is going to cover how you can negotiate effectively with agents and vendors on the phone or in person your deals, or you can become better at sales and the different aspects of what we mean by sales. So to positively impact all area of your business and your property investment. And finally, we'll talk about how you can open your mind to the fact that you can do more in less time, regardless of your personal situation, because Terry will share his story. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing Terry's talk today. And so please give a massive Property Filter virtual welcome to Mr. Terry Blackburn. Thanks so much.
Thank you for the intro, mine. That was a very nice intro, Gilliam. I do appreciate that. From Newcastle, if you can't tell by the Geordie accent, but I live beside Chester, so about 50 minutes south of Manchester is where I live. So I can talk about loads of different things today, but what I thought was maybe a different angle, that maybe things that you maybe haven't heard before would be about sales. So I truly believe that sales impacts every part of property, every part of business, every part of your life. And I'm going to share with you some techniques and tactics how to negotiate in person, like William said, and over the phone, because there is a way to do this, I believe, that's better than others. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story as well, and hopefully I can give you loads of lessons and some gems to take away today. So thank you very much for the intro. Again, I appreciate it. So don't want to bore you with my story, but just to give you an idea of sort of where I came from. If you know the Northeast, that's Throckley on the left-hand side there. That's where I grew up. It's the Bronx of Newcastle, or one of the Bronx of Newcastle. Grew up in a block of flats, pretty brutal upbringing. No money or nothing. Failed everything at school, the typical story. I was a joiner straight from school. These hands are far too soft to be a joiner, so it didn't last very long. I wasn't very good at it. And I was in with the wrong crowd, but I was fortunate enough and lucky enough and very grateful that I got into sales when I was 19. I went self-employed on a commission-only sales job, effectively selling life insurance door to door. It was pretty brutal, to say the least. Anybody that's done door-to-door sales will know. But I wasn't even selling a physical product. I was selling the fact that, heaven forbid, if you died or you got cancer, that your family are going to get some money from Aviva or whoever. A 19-year-old kid trying to sell that, as you can imagine, was pretty tough. Then I started to progress. When I was around about 22, I worked for MetLife Europe. I was the youngest ever sales manager in their history. MetLife's the biggest life insurance company in the world. But the European division, I was the youngest ever sales manager. I had a team of 45 people when I was 22. I set up my first limited company when I was 24, called Bespoke Financial. I sold that 2 years ago when I was 33. And that was a 7-figure deal. I built another online mortgage brokerage called The Mortgage Genie. when I was about 26, and I sold my shares in that about a year and a half later. That was where I got my first taste for raising any money when I was about 26. So I rose £500,000 against that business for 20% of it. So a year and a bit in, it valued at 2.5 million. And that really sparked my interest of, right, I can raise money, I'm likable, I'm trustworthy, I can say the right things. And by the way, sales isn't a way of misleading people or manipulating people. Sales is a way of explaining your offering and creating a win for them and a win for you. And that's all I did with Mortgage Genie. And I raised quite a lot of money at an early age. And that put my mind on, right, well, I could do this for property as well. I've got I went up to about 50 units, but I've sold probably 14, 15 properties in the past 18 months, just with rates and various factors. I've sold most of my Airbnbs, just buy-to-lets and HMOs mainly now. Got 3 hotels. I sold one last year. I've sold the cafe as well, and I sold the glamping site as well last year. Still got a bar and restaurant. So I'm often trading stuff as well as holding stuff. Do pretty much most strategies. Only strategy I haven't really done is, well, I haven't done a self-build and I haven't done a conversion and chopped it up. I did pretty much everything else. Got a Rags to Riches. I've got a podcast called The Rags to Riches Show. Had a few billionaires on there. I've had plenty of millionaires on there. A load of property and business people. I wrote a book called Be a Lion, which won Best Business Book of the Year at San Francisco, Hollywood, and Paris book festivals in 2021. Bit mad considering I failed English and I failed maths, and I ran a financial advisory firm. So what does that say for the school system? But I'm 35 now. If my life was a book, I believe I'm probably only on chapter 3, and there's about 10 chapters. I feel like I've got a long way to go, and I've got a lot more that I want to achieve and I'm going to achieve. No, I'm 35. I've got a long way to go. There's some of the companies that I still run and some that I've sold on. So you've got the financial advisory firms, estate agents, social media company, the hotel, the books, etc. So alongside that, I've got 4 kids. So those on the top left, they look a lot cuter than they are when they're working themselves. And like yesterday on the flight back from Spain, kicking off, crying, screaming for a few hours was challenging to say the least. But the reason I'm telling you this is, I've heard many people say, I can't do all this property stuff because I've got kids, or I can't keep fit because I've got businesses. It seems to be one or the other with a lot of people. I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but for me, you can do it all. You can keep fit. You can have a happy relationship with your partner. You can be a good parent, a good mum or a good dad. You can still do property and you can still run businesses. Because if I can do it, I'm no different to anybody else. And there's people who do a lot more than me, of course. But you can do it all if you set your mind to it and you set a structure effectively. I don't normally work past 5 o'clock. I don't normally start until around about 10 because I normally go to the gym in the morning. And I've got businesses and property in the Northeast, and I've got businesses and property in North Wales. So there's a location gap as well, just to make things a little bit more challenging for myself. But like I say, the reason I'm saying that is just to show that it can be done, regardless of your personal situation. So Gilliam's asked us to talk about sales specifically, and how I believe that can, if you learn sales and you get better at sales, how that can impact your property journey. Because I definitely believe it can, from negotiating a deal to raising money to building relationships with estate agents and vendors and landlords. It does come into play in every single part of property and business. So hopefully I can give you a few tips to just be a little bit better at communicating, a little bit better at sales effectively. And, sales does have a bit of a bad name, from like the double glazement salespeople and the car salespeople of the world. They in PPI, they've give salespeople a bad name. The pushy salespeople, yeah, they deserve a bad name. But sales is just communicating and explaining your offering to somebody else, and it's not manipulating or making them think a different way. It's making them it's asking good questions to come to an outcome that you both agree with, and it's got to be a win-win. So if you think about it, every business in every industry in every country has an element of sales. Even online sales, you might think, oh well, an Amazon business doesn't have sales. Well, based upon the imagery, the description, and the reviews, they are selling to you why you should buy that product. It doesn't have to be someone physically or verbally explaining something to you. You know, you've all purchased Property Filter. There's something that's made you do that. Was it Gillian? Was it a salesperson? Was it a review? Was it a testimonial? Was it the fact that others are finding deals from it? Was it, you know, you like the look of it? Did it meet a need that you have? It's that every business at every point is selling a product or a service. The French, maybe they're like French people. You're right. Maybe it was your closing techniques in your French accent that sold them Property Filter, or maybe not, right? But you get my point. Every business at every point is selling. Every time you buy anything, you're buying something, so somebody or something has sold you that product or service. Yeah. And if that is true, which I believe it is, why don't more people put their time and attention into sales? Why don't they try and master sales? People like Robert Kiyosaki, he worked in sales, you know, before he done all the Rich Dad Poor Dad stuff. If you like most Dale Carnegie, if you read How to Win Friends and Influence People, that book is a sales book. That Brian Tracy's of the world, Zig Ziglar's, all of these people have backgrounds in sales. And a lot of actually really successful entrepreneurs credit their success or part of their success to being good at sales in the early days. Like when I was 19 years old and I was told, right, Terry, you've got to knock on this door and you've got to pitch whoever opens the door life insurance. That just gave me a tough skin. Now I can pitch anything to anybody because I've just got a tough skin, and that has definitely helped me in business and property. You know, I would pitch Elon Musk to be an angel if I met him. Like I wouldn't be bothered. It's I've just got a bit of a tough skin, yeah, and sales has given me that. So let's go through some points. So if you think about property specifically, as obviously it's a property call. So if you meet an angel investor, you are selling to them why they should invest with you. So you're selling to them either the interest rate that you're going to offer them, the security that they're going to offer you, you're going to offer them, the term, why they should invest with you over somebody else, why they should invest with you over the banks, why they shouldn't do property themselves and they should invest with you for a fixed rate of return. Yeah, you are still selling to them, just in a non-slimy, non-car salesy, double glazing window salesman way, right? You're still selling to them. You know, if you put a below market value offer to an estate agent or a vendor or a letting agent, whoever, you're still selling to the estate agent why they should present your offer to the vendor. If it's direct to vendor, you're still selling to them why they should accept your offer. Maybe it's speed, maybe it's price, maybe it's the fact that they like you and you're going to solve their problem because they can't sell it elsewhere and you can offer a solution. That is still selling. I think I just caught the start of the call there. I think Gillian was talking about Mark Shaw's ways of speaking to agents. And I've got a mastermind. I run a mastermind with Mark Shaw, but we do things slightly different. You know, I also speak to estate agents and get lots of deals through estate agents, and that's in an intentional way. But making them like you, trust you, first building that relationship, that's still sales. Knowingly or not knowingly, that's still sales. Making somebody like you is sales. And if you can sell to an agent, right, well, if you send me deals that meet this bit of criteria, I will buy them straight away. Or so they can still get the fee. They're winning, vendors winning, you're winning. You're still proposing a product, a service, an idea of some sort. Therefore, that is sales, right? Sell to a builder why they should do it at a discounted. That's a challenging one, isn't it? Um, Builders can be a real challenge, as we all know. But you know, if you say to a builder, right, I need it done by this date and I need it done under this budget, and they agree to it, you have sold to them why they should do it on time and under budget. If they don't do it, then they've sold to you why, oh well, you know, we need to spend extra money on this, so I can't get it done in this time period for that reason. He's then selling to you why it can't be done on time or on budget. Yeah. He's selling to you or you're selling to him. One or the other's happening. You're selling an idea or a concept or a project to a JV partner. It's all selling. Sell to a vendor why they should sell to you instead of going on via the estate agents. Why, you know, I think Gillian was talking about direct to vendor letters. You send some of those out, you get some appointments, they want you to come over and see the property. You're still going to have to do some form of selling to them why they should sell directly to you opposed to going through an estate agent. It might be just to avoid the fees. It might be speed. It might be because you can offer a quick solution. But whatever it is, it's still an element of selling. I wish that one was easier as well. Selling to a conveyancer why they need to hurry the F up. None of them really do anything in a hurry, right? But if you sell to them, right, it needs done by this date, and this is the reason why. Can you commit to that? If not, I'm going to go to somebody else. They're committing to it. You've sold to them why they need to do it. I'll pay you a little bit extra if you can hurry up the conveyance. And could you do that? You're still selling to them a concept or an idea, aren't you? Sell to the mortgage broker or the bank why they should lend to you. Got to do business plans these days. Business plans, it's a written way of selling. This is my plan. This is what I'm going to do. Will you lend me some money based upon this? You're selling. If you're exiting property, if you're selling businesses, it's all selling, right? If you're doing lease options, I do quite a few of these. I know Mark does as well. If you're doing a lease option with somebody, you're selling them it's a new concept to a lot of vendors, right? You're selling to them the reasons why they should do it. So they can walk away from the property. You can solve the issues that they've got. They can get some option consideration now. They can get a lump of money now. You'll take over the mortgage. You'll look after the tenant. You're selling to them a concept, right? And it's in a non-slimy, non-double glazing window salesman way. An assisted sale, exactly the same. I really could go on and on and on. It's involved in every single part of property, every single part of business. Just people just don't look at it that way because sales has got such a bad name. So let's talk about in person, then let's talk about over the phone because it is different. It really, really is. So the key to in-person stuff, so if you're going to meet landlords direct, vendors direct, you're going to meet estate agents doing viewings, building relationships, you're going to meet an angel investor direct, 90% of what you look like is the way that you're dressed. And unfortunately, whether you like it or not, people do judge you based upon how you look. Yeah, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So if you go meet an angel investor in a tracksuit, what is the first impressions? You're in a hoodie. It's probably not the best impression, right? For certain types of angel investors. Whereas if you don't need to go in a three-piece suit either with a dicky bow, but you need to dress appropriately. Yeah, just like when you're going to meet, let's say if it's a vendor looking to buy the property, if you turn up with a flashy watch, looking like you've got money, they're probably going to think, this guy or girl's just after my money. Yeah, 90% of your appearance is your clothes. So dress the part and you'll get the part. Know your market, know who you're going to be speaking to. And the really, really basic stuff, things like smiling. Have you ever met somebody and you just think, you know what, I really like him. Or, I really like her. What a lovely person. Yeah, we've all came across that. Or on the flip side, you meet somebody and you're like, he's an absolute knobhead. Right? I hope I can swear on this, by the way, Gilliam. Hope that's all right. I am a Geordie, so I do swear a bit. But if he's a dickhead, like you have all met people like that, right? You meet them and you just go, nah, don't like him or her. We've all got that, right? So a way to combat that straight away is eye contact and smiling at somebody, being polite. You meet an angel investor or an estate agent or a vendor, you shake the hand, eye contact, smile, good tone of voice. Nobody wants to deal with the person who talks like that. They'd much rather deal with someone who talks like this. Yeah? Tell the truth, be honest and transparent always, because people can tell. People can 100% tell. If you mislead somebody or tell somebody something that's not true, some people will pick it up. And I find this to be true, and this isn't a sexist thing. Women have a sixth sense. Women can tell better than men if someone's not trustworthy. In my sales teams, I had some key women in my team, and I used to ask them, what's your opinion of this person? Because they used to see things I couldn't. Yeah. Be transparent, honest, ask good questions, and all of these things when you're in person help that person like you. And I'm going to come on to a way to make people like you in a second. But just those characters on the right. Let's say if you are an elderly gentleman, a lot of the time would rather buy off someone who's also an elderly gentleman. If you are a young professional, they'd rather buy off another young professional. If you're a builder, people would rather buy off another builder. And what I'm saying that for is people like buying off people who are the same as them and who they think or similar to them, have similar views, that have common ground. So what you can do there is, if you're going to see an angel investor, you try and find a common ground. If you're speaking to a landlord, you find a common ground. If you're speaking to an estate agent, you find a common ground. When you're in person, because they will subconsciously warm to you, therefore they are more likely to do business with you. It's really, really works. I've tried and tested loads of this stuff over the years. It really does work. But when you're in person, make sure that you dress appropriately, smile, eye contact, body language. I know it sounds really, really basic, this stuff, but it's missed a lot of the time. It really, really is. Nothing is neutral. Everything that you do in a face-to-face meeting and a telephone meeting for that matter, everything matters. Some people think, oh, the way you dress doesn't matter, your shoes don't matter, or your eye contact, your handshake doesn't matter. It all matters. Everything matters. And this is a system that I've taught to lots of people over the years in my sales teams and in my other businesses. As people buy off people that they like, and people buy off people who are the same as them. And it goes in this order. So they've got to like you first. And if they like you, they'll start to listen to you. If you say the right things when they're listening to you, they'll start to trust you. And once they trust you, they'll buy or they'll invest or they'll sell, whichever way you want to look at this. But they've got to like, listen, trust, and then they'll buy your product or your service or invest with you or do a JV with you or sell you the property or whatever. Because think of it this way. If you meet an angel investor who's got millions in the bank and he doesn't like you, even if you offer 15, 20% return, he's probably not going to invest with you, right? And someone who he really, really does like, he's more likely to invest, even over the person who's offering a better return that he doesn't like. Yes, there are exceptions to that rule, but majority of the time, people will not buy off you or sell something to you or invest with you if they don't like you. So becoming likable is a skill. Then when you're speaking to the person, you say the right things when they're listening in order for them to trust you. Yeah. But being likable, it's some of the things I've already covered, but it's eye contact, smiling, making them laugh, finding a common ground, being polite, asking them good questions to make them subconsciously warm to you. Nobody likes the person that just talks and talks and talks at you. Have you ever met someone like that in a bar where you meet them and they just go on and on and on and on about themselves? And you just think, oh my God, get me away from that person. That's because they've just talked about them. They haven't asked you any questions. So in order to get someone to like you, you ask them questions. What is it you do? How long have you done that for? How long have you been in property for? How long have you been in estate agent for? Do you enjoy it? Which areas is it you work? How long have you done this for? What's your favorite part about the job? Whatever, right? You're asking them questions and showing interest in them. They will subconsciously start to like you. Yeah. Then you can get them into conversation, open the dialogue, get them to start to listen to you, and then they'll start to trust you. And then, and only then, will they buy. So next time you meet somebody in person, next time you meet an estate agent or a letting agent, a vendor, an angel, whoever, you dress appropriately, eye contact, good handshake, smile, be polite, and ask some good questions. And all that seems really, really simple and straightforward, yet so many people don't do this. I meet a lot of people in all my businesses, and a lot of people just don't have this. And some people have said things like, I'm lucky. How do you get yourself in these situations, Terry? How do you get people to, put large amounts of money into deals and sell your companies and do all of these things and have 11 companies and all the things that I'm doing? And some people call us lucky. Some people say, how do you get yourself into these situations? And a lot of it, I believe, is down to, I like to think anyway, that I'm likable. And I like to think that I've never screwed anybody ever. I've always done the right thing, always smiling, I'm always polite, and I always ask good questions and I build relationships, and I've got a fantastic network just by doing this. And I do get brought a lot of deals and I get brought a lot of opportunities, as I'm sure you guys do. But a lot of this is just down to being a good person and using these basic things that we can all do, and they're actually all free. It's all free, and you can start doing this today. So let's say sales over the phone. So all you have at your disposal when you are ringing somebody, let's say if you're ringing an angel, an estate agent, a vendor, landlord, whoever, all you have at your disposal is your tone of voice, really, because you're making a phone call. They can't see you. You can't use your hand. You can't use your body language. It's your tone of voice. Yeah. So what you want to be doing is you want to have a real solid tone of voice. It's not monotone like this and doesn't bore them to sleep. And it's not too quick like that, because if you're too quick, some people will think that you're nervous or that you're untrustworthy. And if you're too slow and too monotone, you'll bore people and they won't want to speak to you. You've got to inject enthusiasm down the phone, good tone of voice, and you've got to get down that phone that you are credible and experienced quite early on. And if you do that, whether it's an estate agent, whether it's a vendor, a landlord, an angel, a JV partner, whoever, you will get a better result from that phone call. And I'm going to give you an example of exactly how that is true. So when you ring somebody, they can't see you. Okay, they can't. But they think that they can see. They paint a picture in their mind of what you look like, right? So who's had this before? You've rang one of your friends and you're like, "Are you hungover?" Or you've said, "Are you in bed? Are you ill? What's wrong with you?" Right? You can tell, can't you? You can tell just on their tone of voice. And you paint, and again, some blokes might be able to resonate with this. You get a phone call and it's a female, and you think, "Bet you she's good looking," right? And she might not be. And I bet you some of the women have done that. I don't know, but I bet you some of the women have done that as well. You think, "Oh, I bet you that guy's good looking." You're basing that just on your tone of voice, yeah, just on their tone of voice. So think about what do you sound like if you're ringing an estate agent, pitching them a least option concept, why they should propose this quirky offer to their vendor. Like, why should they propose that if they don't like you and they think that you're boring or grumpy or not very experienced? They're not going to do it, are they? So think about what people are painting a picture in their mind of you. What do you look like? Do you look like the inexperienced rookie, or do you look like the credible, enthusiastic person that they want to deal with? Yeah, because they are painting a picture in their mind of what they think you look like, solely based on your tone of voice. Yeah. And again, it's a really simple concept. It's free to do. But having a good tone of voice and getting words out properly when you're on the phone will help you negotiate more deals. It will, because if you put an offer forward of 200 grand and they really like you, and someone else puts an offer forward of 200 grand and they're grumpy and miserable and they don't have a nice tone of voice and they're not polite to them, who are they going to push to the vendor more? It's going to be you. It's going to be the happy, enthusiastic person, right? All day long. And this is the difference between getting a load of deals over the line and some deals over the line. This might be the one little tweak that you need to make when you're making your offers to start getting more over the line. A couple of little tips on this. Stand up when you're making your phone calls. Think quicker on your feet is a phrase that is true. When you're sitting down, your tone of voice does change. If you're slouched in your seat, you do sound different than if you're standing up. Make sure your tone of voice is on point. Practice. Like, where I used to do that with all my sales teams. We used to stand and we used to practice our sales script. You don't need a script if you're in an estate agent, of course, but practice your introduction. Practice how you intro yourself. Practice how you say things. Enthusiastic, polite, and respectful. Don't be going on and on and on and not respecting the estate agent's time. Be polite. "Hi, how are you?" Use the name. Speak with authority and credibility. And if you do all of these things, and it's all free to do, you will get more deals over the line. 1,000,000%. I've done probably, I don't actually know the number, but there's over 70 deals that I've done. That's stuff I've still got, some that I've bought and sold, done a bit of deal sourcing. But yeah, it's probably closer to 100, to be fair, because I did about I did about good 40 deal sources in 2019. So, you're talking over 100 deals I've negotiated, and majority of those were on market. I didn't have property filter. I would have found even more if I had property filter. This was just a right move. Like, and a lot of this was down to the way that I negotiate, the way that I speak, the way that I've got a good reputation, and I'm likable on the phone and in person. Agents were sending me deals before it went on the market or before they sent it to others. Or if two people offered the same, I offered something, someone else offered something, they were pushing me more than them because they like me. Yeah. So all of this really, really helps. There's just another example. I worked for Combined Insurance Company of America, which is Kika. I worked for MetLife and I set up Bespoke. This is selling life insurance. Now, Combined Insurance had the worst life insurance products on the market. Yeah, they were horrific. MetLife's were a little bit better, and then when I had Bespokes, we had the best products on the market. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is I still sold a shitload of product of life insurance for those three companies. Now, one had the worst products on the market and one had the best products on the market, but I still sold huge volume. And why is that? Because people buy people just as much as they buy the product. So again, if you're speaking to an angel investor, that angel investor might be having 5 chats with 5 different people. So, excuse me, you might all offer a similar thing. Who's he then going to work with? He's going to work with the person he likes and trusts the most, right? Might be the same if you're sending direct to vendor letters. The same landlord or vendor might have had 5 different letters. They might have 5 different meetings. So how do you know which, that person is going to go with the person that they like the most? People buy people just as much as they buy the product. Oh, it says my screen sharing is paused. Don't know what's happened, Gilliam.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
Are
Yeah,
you still back?
seems
It
to be.
just came up with an orange one in there. Can you still see that?
Yeah, yeah, seems all right. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it just came up with an orange warning. So let's talk about options closing. Now, I teach this on the masterminds. I teach this to a lot of my one-on-one guys. If you just propose one offer to somebody, below market value offer, it's a yes or a no. Yeah. There is a way to get a better result when you're proposing your offers to vendors, agents, whoever. Okay. So you've got to be assumptive. It's not, would you like to go ahead or how does this sound? That's too wishy-washy. You've got to be assumptive and you've got to offer an option, multiple options when you're proposing offers. And there's a way to do this, which I'm going to show you. So again, if you just say, I can offer you 100 grand, would you like to go ahead? That's a yes or a no. If they say no, where do you go from there? You've maybe insulted them, then maybe it's just, oh, I'm not going to deal with that person again. Yeah. A much better way is to offer 2 or 3 options. And instead of them just saying yes or no, it's then, right, which one looks or which one sounds best to you. But what you're doing is you're opening up dialogue, you're opening up an opportunity for negotiations, aren't you? And they're going to anchor towards one of those options. You can do this for angel investing, 5%, 6%, 8%, 10%, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 80 grand, 100 grand. You can do it for everything, right? What you want to try and get in the habit of doing is not offering one option to an angel or to a landlord, vendor, estate agent, whoever, any form of customer. It's multiple options. You can have this, this, or this. Which one sounds best to you? Then they're just picking one, aren't they? They're just picking one instead of deciding if they're going to go ahead with that one offer that you proposed or not. And again, this is really simple. It's free to do, and a lot of people just don't do it. Forget the basics. So often use this one, these 3. I know obviously we'll beef these out a little bit, but just for the sake of the slide, on the left-hand side there, you could, if you're offering lease options or exchange with delayed completions, you'll often offer a low cash offer, a short delayed completion, or a longer delayed completion. Or the example on the right, you could do that for angel investing. If you've had a chat with somebody or you've got a proposal for them, don't just say, this is what I can do. Do you want to go ahead? I could do this, this, or this. It doesn't just only help with conversion, meaning more people will go ahead with one of the options. It also invites more conversations. It invites a negotiation. It invites back and forth. Yeah. And I've done this verbally, and I've done it, on email, and I've done it, in person as well. It all works. That my best advice would be to email this, because people generally will take it in better if it's structured in a certain way. And you say this, or this, which one sounds best to you? Or which would you prefer? Do you have any questions? It opens it up. And actually, it's a real good way of not pushing. So, if you just said, right, well, I can offer you 100 grand, do you want to go ahead or not? Then some people, if you be quite forceful in that approach and you chase them and you follow up multiple times, they might think that you're being pushy. Whereas if you give them options, it's almost giving them the control back a little bit. And they feel like they're in control. They don't feel like you're pushing anything on them. They don't feel like you are, you know, persuading them or pushing too hard. They just think that you're giving them options. And that's a fantastic way to sell in a non-pushy, win-win way, that you're giving them the options and they're going to choose which one works best for them. Even if you have directed them towards one or two options, they're still picking, aren't they? So they don't feel like they're being sold to. They don't feel like you're being pushy. They're picking an option that works, or they're asking more questions to get them more in a bit of a negotiation. Really, really works. It works in everything. It works in business and property. That's why there's cars like Skoda, no disrespect to Skodas, and there's cars like Ferrari. There's always going to be people that want the best, and there's always going to be people that want the cheapest, and there's always going to be people that land in the middle. When we were selling life insurance, we used to do this. We used to literally offer them the basic option, the okay option, and the platinum option. Which one sounds best to you? And some people always want the platinum because they want the best life insurance. Just like if you're offering an angel investor different interest rates on their money, some people will always want the highest rate, even if that means putting more money in or a longer term. They will go because they want the higher rate. Some people, they just want the shortest term loan, don't they? Even if that means taking a lower interest rate. Yeah, you're going to catch more fish if you put three nets into the water than if you just put one, right? It's a simple analogy, but it's true. The more options you give, well, not the more options you give, but I wouldn't be giving more than three. But by putting three nets in the water, you're going to catch more fish than if you put one. It's as simple as that. Works in business, providing choice. I don't know what that picture is about. When I'm in marketing to even put this together, but you get the point. So talking a bit about business, I mean, I can talk about loads of different subjects. I'm happy to open up the questions in a sec, but just to give you an idea, when I started to really ramp up sales and push and implement a lot of the new stuff in 2019, we were doing about 700 odd grand. We doubled that during COVID by implementing a lot of the sales techniques that I've talked about, implementing options closing, implementing systems and processes across all businesses, and everything started to really rocket. I sold that business a few years back. Kind of already mentioned that, the things that I've done since then. I've always been involved in property and been buying heavily for quite a few years, but I truly believe a big part of my success has been down to this communication skills and being likable, open in dialogue with people, communicating in such a way that's non-pushy, it's non-manipulative, it's not like the old school sleazy salespeople, it's the new way of doing it. You can not only secure more angel investment, you'll get access to more deals from estate agents, you'll get access to more deals direct to vendors, your reputation will grow, your following will grow. Everything grows when you get good at communicating. But like, a lot of people agree with what I've just said, but they don't put time and attention into getting better at sales. They don't read books on sales. They don't do courses on sales. They don't get a mentor. They just don't put enough value on it because of the PPI and the double glazement salespeople. But my advice, would be to get better at sales. It really, really would. Kind of already said that. I mean, we could talk about loads of different things, Gillian, but I know you told us to talk about sales and negotiate. So hopefully that's kind of kind of help with that. I don't know what we're like for time, Gilliam. How much
Yeah,
time have we got now?
yeah, we can take some questions as well. So yeah, let me know
Yeah,
when
I mean,
you're.
I was gonna do some case studies on the hotels and things, but I was just gonna touch on other ways I can help you. I'm happy to do some questions and then whatever you want
Yeah,
us to do, Gilliam.
it's
I'm an
good. Yeah.
open book. But how can I help you? The Rags to Riches podcast completely free. I think it's about 55-star reviews. We've only got 5-star reviews, so if you fancy leaving a review, please do 5 stars. We had some big players on there. Got a book called BRR, and it's on Audible if you want to listen to my Geordie voice. It's also on Amazon for a tenner. Got a couple of sales. Well, I've got a sales course, which is the online course, which is only 300 quid. And I've got a way to raise private finance through social media, which again is 300 quid. Got a mastermind offering with Mark, and I've got one that I run myself. Again, if you want any more information on that, please just reach out. I'm not going to do a sales pitch to anybody. Do one-to-one coaching as well, and everything from business to property to sales and everything in between. So I'm happy to go through any questions, my friend,
Yeah,
if
thanks a
you've
lot.
got.
If you just want to put your details or put the slide back where people can join you, is that an Instagram handle? Is that?
Yeah, should I put it in the chat? Would that help?
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah. Thanks a lot for that. I think like sales do solve everything. Nobody likes to sell, or nobody likes to be sold to, but everybody likes to buy. So it's quite an interesting
Yeah.
topic. I mean, in the world of property as well, it's exactly as you said it. You have to sell the idea of people, are getting people to work with you, sell the idea of a vendor to accept your offer. So all of this is indeed very, very current with the subject matter of doing more deals. Rita was asking, with your multiple offers, what if you can only offer one thing, one option, and you're not in a position to offer other options?
So I would need an example because there's always options. So give us an example, and I would tell you how to give it as an option. So let's say I don't know if you said, "Well, I can only go to 100 grand. That's my max offer." Right? If you think that's the only thing you can offer, you could offer 70, 80, and 100. You could simply do it that way. So I don't know how there would always be
Mm.
other options.
Yeah, I mean, if
And
you
every deal,
were to pay, 100 in 10 years, it's always an option, So
yeah, there's always an option. I couldn't. That's why I was asking for an example. I don't think there'd ever be an example where you could only give one option. Um,
yeah,
and if there is, you could move away from the deal. But yeah, there's always options. You've just got to know how to propose things and and yeah, come up with some creative options. I think, but they're not even that creative. Let's be honest. It's pretty easy to do. It's not that creative.
mm, when it comes to reaching out to working with agents, you said a lot of most of your deals have been working with through agents. So
Mm.
if you had no relationship with agents, you maybe are a bit scared about the prospect of speaking to someone you've never spoke to before, and you're a bit scared about this uncomfortable with this whole sales conversation thing. Or do you go and walk in an agent, or you find a property on Property Filter? Sales fallen
Mhm.
through a couple of times. It's listed with 2 agents. It seems like this is worth your attention and time now. So, what do you do? You go and pick up the phone? Do you go walk through the estate agency? And what would be the steps for someone who's got little experience of property, little experience of sales, and never really spoken much to an agent?
Mm. I mean, how I would do it personally, there's different ways, but how I would personally do it if I was starting off now, I'd be going on the property filter and I would be finding deals that met my criteria. First of all, of course, you shortlist a handful of them. You then ring in the estate agent to get the information before you do the viewing, because I wouldn't be wasting my time doing loads and loads of viewings unless I was clear. So when you're ringing that estate agent up, first of all, nice and polite, nice tone of voice, nice introduction. Hi, my name's Terry. I've just seen such and such property online. Is it still available? Perfect. Could I just get some information? Are you the best person to speak to, or is it somebody else? Oh, it's Margaret, actually. Speak to Margaret. Fantastic. Is Margaret in? Then you get her on the phone. Hi, Margaret. How you doing? You don't want to be too, you know, I'm not being dead salesy here, and I don't want it to come across like it's really difficult to do this. It's just introducing yourself, then asking you basic questions with a nice tone of voice, being polite. You know, why is it stayed on the market for this long? So it's been back and forth. So it was sold and now it came back on. Why was that? And what's the vendor looking for? Okay, so do you think it'll be worth us doing a viewing? You're just asking some basic questions, and that in itself is building the relationship. I'm not asking them what's your waist size and what wine do you drink. I'm just asking them some basic questions to gather the information. Then a lot of the time at the start, when I was, really actively doing loads and loads of viewings, I was going out to see the estate agents. I was calling into the office. When I was doing the viewings, I was getting every person's name and number who I was doing viewings with and keeping in regular contact with them. So if you speak to an estate agent today, I'll be getting on the introduce yourself, tell them what you're looking for. First of all, I'm looking for these type properties in this area. Then at least once a month, I'll be touching base with that estate agent to see if they've got any more stock. Because the more you get in their mind, as in the more they think of you, the better. Because if you say, right, I'm looking for properties under 150 grand in this area, 3 bedrooms that need work, whatever, right? The more you ring them and tell them that's what you're looking for, let's say if you ring them on the 1st of June and then you never ring them again. If you ring them on the 1st of July, there might have just been one that came up at the end of June. And then they think, oh, Terry rings every month. He's always after these type properties. You're in their mind, yeah? And then they're the first person that you speak to. And, sorry to break it to anybody. It takes time to get these relationships. I wish it was like, say this to them and then you've got the relationship forever and they'll send you loads of deals. It obviously doesn't happen like that. You've got to just put the legwork in and build the relationships, and it becomes easier with time for sure. But I would just be for anybody starting off, making the phone calls, going to build the relationships, going to do the viewings, keeping regular contact with them, and eventually the deals will start to flow. They'll start to know who you are, and you'll start to build that relationship with them. But yeah, just learn some sales. Learn just some tone of voice stuff, some communication tactics and techniques. Like the ones I've said, anybody can do those. And anybody. When I was 19 selling life insurance, I looked about 12 and I had a squeaky voice. And I wasn't the typical salesperson, but I was selling a lot because I was just practicing. Yeah. And you just got to do the same in this, whether you sell, whatever, regardless what you're selling, you just got to practice.
And that's really interesting. So what about and I move to the couple of questions where what about most people would be shit scared of rejection, if you've not done this a lot of time, like this practice and this I think thickening the skin, how do you overcome this, with people who are not really comfortable with conflict, rejection and all that, like what would you say to these people? And me included, in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to get rid of rejection. Everybody gets rejected all the time, and the most successful people out there being rejected the most. And I just think of it like it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your health. It doesn't affect your wallet. It doesn't affect your family if somebody says no to you. There's a great phrase that every no that you get, you're one step closer to a yes. So when you think of it like that, you just say, thank you for the no. Next. Yeah. There's a book, I can't remember what the book's called. It's about, you know, targeting yourself on no's. Now, you don't want no's, rejection, but the more rejection you get, you're getting closer and closer to the yeses, aren't you? So this is just a mindset thing. If you ring 5 estate agents and you all say no, no, I've got none of that type properties, or no, I'm not going to do this. You've spoke to 5 angels, they've all said no. The sixth one might be the yes. And the best people in every industry are the people that stick around. The best people are the ones that keep going regardless of how many no's you get. So you might find 20 properties on property filter, but you ring all the estate agents and you put 20 offers in and you get loads of no's. That's fine. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But loads of people quit before 20. And it might be the 21st as the yes. It might be the 31st or the 51st. But eventually people will say yes. Imagine me trying to sell life insurance door to door at 19 years old, knocking on random's doors, telling them, so what happens if you or your wife died? You need a lump of money for your family. I was fucking 19. Like, I was walking into bars and restaurants trying to sell a product, even though I didn't have a physical product. I was trying to sell a concept of if you died and I was a young kid. That is hard, man. But I just thought, right, I'll just keep going and I'll keep trying, and eventually it clicks.
What do you reckon was
Eventually,
your typical hit rate at the time? The 1 in 20, 1 in 50?
at the start, one in cold calling, probably 1 to 75, 1 to 100. So I had to
Yeah,
speak to 100 people to get one yes. And
yeah,
then it gets a lot easier. You get on referrals and all of this type stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but it
Yeah,
should
it's
be
pretty
nowhere near.
interesting. You know, a
You
lot of
shouldn't be
people.
making 100 offer.
Sorry,
Sorry,
sorry, go
sorry.
on. No, no, sorry, go on.
I was just saying there, but with if you filter them on property filter and you're making 100 offers, you will. It's definitely the way that you're offering. If you found good deals from property filter and you are offering on 100 properties and getting 100 no's, it's the way you're offering. It's not the property. So you just need to work on your communication, your negotiating skills to get the deals. Because when I've used property filter, and I must admit I haven't used it to the best of its ability, I'm going to, but I've found 3 deals already and I've only had it 2 months that I've agreed. It does reduce the bullshit. It reduces all the time wasted on Rightmove for sure, and you find the motivated seller. So it definitely works. It might just be the way that you position your offers. There might be options closing them, but if someone says no, next, you just move on to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
next one. It's as simple as that.
So let's move to a couple of questions and we'll bring this to close.
Yep.
So Ed is asking any book recommendation you've got around sales and the stuff you talked about today.
Yeah, Be a Lion by Terry
Yeah.
Blackburn, great book.
Uh,
The Power of Pays by Terry Blackburn, great book. Um, in terms of salesy stuff, well, my next book is that I'm writing at the moment is about sales, but it's not out yet. Um, in terms of how to win friends and influence people, Dale Carnegie, unbelievable, unbelievable. Um, Grant Cardone, Sell or Be Sold.
all right.
That's another one about sales. Brian Tracy, the psychology. I think it's the psychology of sales or sales psychology. Brian Tracy's fantastic, by the way. He's like the old school. Him and like Jim Rohn, same era. They're like old school, but he's still fantastic. His lessons and his teachings. Oh, I can teach on sales. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Mark is asking, when going to an estate agency office, how do you ensure that you get to talk to the best person in the office?
Simply ask. Simply ask who's the best person to speak to in regards to this property. And there's generally a gatekeeper, there's somebody at the front, but don't overthink it. Just get yourself in there and speak. Oh, I've seen such and by the way, I wouldn't just walk into an estate agent and say I'm looking for these types of properties. I would just do that over the phone because you're wasting time driving to all the different places and you might get there and they might not be there or the wrong person might be in. So I'll be doing that over the phone first. And once I've built some form of relationship with them, then I would call in. Because if I've spoke to Margaret on the phone and she's give us information about this property, I'd walk in and say, "Is Margaret in?" So then it's warm then, it's not cold. If you're just walking in off randomly, it's a cold call. Whereas if I've spoke to Margaret on the phone, it's then warm, yeah? Another little tip, things like if if an estate agent helps you agree a deal, look after them. Send them a message saying thank you, send them some chocolate, send them some wine or some flowers. Be different. They remember. They do remember because loads of people don't do stuff like that. But yeah, and if you are walking in cold, Mark, just simply ask for who's the best person to speak to. I'm in a position to buy multiple properties. Don't big yourself up too much because they might think that you're a blagger. But say I'm in a position to move on a few properties at the moment. I'm interested in quite a specific bit of criteria. Who's the best person to speak to in regards to investment properties? Because you don't want to be speaking to Jane, who's just started, who does admin. Oh, that woman's just banged me car, believe it or not. Lovely. Thanks, mate. It's on record.
Yeah, that's right.
Insurance claim. It's all right.
Yeah, no worries, yeah. Thanks a lot
Yeah.
for that. Do you have a sort of a closing sentiment for today?
Yeah, I just think, if you agree with the things that I've said, that sales is involved in every business, that sales is involved in property, And if you got better at positioning offers and you got better at communicating that you get more deals, learn sales. Learn sales from me, from somebody, read books on it. Listen, my podcast got loads of stuff about sales on it and it's free. It just learns it because honestly, I truly believe it's played a huge part of my success at 35 being where I am. It's helped me get all of the properties, raise all of the money. You know, it's helped me with every single part of it. And of course, it's not the only part of it. You know, you've got to work hard and you've got to do all the other things that come with it. But you'll get yourself in some good situations in every part of business and life by being better at communicating. Helps with your partner, you know, helps with disagreements in the household. If you're good at if you're good at talking and communicating, it helps with raising your children. It helps with um raising money for business purposes or angel investment for property. It helps with recruiting staff because you've got to sell to a staff member why they should work for you. It helps with growing a team and building a culture. At one point, I had about 160 staff, like across all the companies. Like it helps with all of that. And for some reason, I can only think that it's down to the fact that people brand sales with this. They paint it with a bad brush, don't they? With the double glazing salesman and the PPI people. That everyone paints it with that brush, but actually, it's a fantastic skill if you get it right. So if you agree with us, reach out. I'll see if I can help you, or get listening to the podcast or something, because I truly believe it'll help all property investors get into where they want to be.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thank you everyone for joining us on today's Deal Final Corner. So do check out the Rags to Riches podcast. Do link up with Terry today if you want to have a chat about these things. In the meantime, do visit propertyfilter.co.uk, log on to your Property Filter account, check out the deal blueprint where you can define your goldmine area, engage with motivated sellers, assess properties in seconds, load your pipeline and make deals, have an endless supply of deals, join the top 1% and become a high achiever deal finder. I hope you enjoyed today's Deal Finder Corner like I did. And so, yeah, looking forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much. Have a great one. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Lots of thank yous. Thank you, everyone.